I mean, it goes back to at or before the time that I started working for the post office 10, 13 years ago. That I kept coming up against the feeling that too many things in Washington are decided by money. I have got a plane, a gyroplane, and I'm going to fly it. I'm going to violate the no-fly zone non-violently. I intend for nobody to get hurt. And I'm going to land on the Capitol Mall in front of the Capitol building. I'm going to have 535 letters strapped to the landing gear in boxes, and those letters are going to be addressed to every member of Congress. The letter says that we know that the corruption exists, and we're looking for them to take a stand individually on whether they're going to solve it or whether they're going to try and support it and continue it. I originally thought of doing this using an ultralight airplane. I was going to use an amphibious plane and land it on the reflecting pool, because that was the opportunity to make the landing with no chance of hitting somebody. I found out I could land a gyrocopter in a very small area, much less than a fixed-wing airplane. I was concerned about my safety, but there was no way that I could not do this once I had refined the idea. My flight was a combination of those two things, the letter and getting the message to 130 million people. I flew out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, almost exactly 70 miles north of Washington, D.C., so that I could fly with the wind, because the gyrocopter doesn't do well flying into the wind. I'd run out of gas. A huge load of anxiety was lifted at the time my wheels left the ground. That wasn't the point I started to worry. That was the point where about 90% of my worries went away. I was afraid of doing it, but I was more afraid of being stopped before I did it. When I flew past the White House, I never even looked to the left. I knew that they had snipers there, and I didn't want them to get the idea I was going that direction. But when I turned onto the Capitol Mall, I was nervous about one thing. There were no police out, and I went, they don't know I'm coming. Where I wanted to land was also clear people. There was no pedestrians. So at that point, I throttled up to go that extra maybe 50 yards. Now that was the more difficult spot, but that was putting it on the green. Probably the most dangerous aspect of it for me was those moments when the Capitol Police didn't know what they were dealing with. Communication was a problem because it was cold. My face was numb. I was in for a day, and they had a hearing the next day in Washington, D.C., where I was released on my own recognizance.
All right. Where's my lovely wife? Still in the house.
There wasn't ever a time that we expected I was not going to wind up getting jail time. The question was how much. I've been assigned to report to the Federal Detention Center in Miami, and I'll be there for a total of 4 months. The crime that I pleaded guilty to was flying without a pilot's certificate.
Sounds almost like there's an argument going on up there. Wait.
Kathy doesn't think I should be going to jail because she understands that I didn't do anything wrong. But I told her I am going to jail because I did something that was illegal. And at 12 years old, she understands there's a difference between legal and wrong. I'd like to have the mail get there on or around the anniversary of my flight. So I'm mailing it a few days before the actual anniversary. So my goal is to come up with a platform, then I go cross country and I recruit Democrats and Republicans to run against the incumbent in the party that district is gerrymandered. So I'm going to be stumping for Republicans that I got nothing in common with if they will get the money out of politics. Hey.
What's going on?
Long time to see you. How's everything? Good?
I've got 535 letters I want to mail.
Okay. And you got postage on it?
There's postage on everything.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take care of it.
I am convinced that before I die, there is going to be significant, imperfect change on the subject of money in politics and ending the control of Wall Street and K Street over what happens in the Capitol Dome. That's going to happen in a significant but imperfect way.